Welcome to Toronto and round number 8 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama. Today, these drivers challenge the concrete lined walls at Exhibition Place. The story, can anyone stop Roman Deangelis?
The Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada is in full swing as the series rolls into Toronto. Second-year sensation Jeff Kingsley, with his win at Mosport, is the only one to break Deangelis' dominance.
And the youngster from Windsor wins again in Montreal.
And Deangelis is the master of Mosport.
Roman's at it again, collecting more hardware.
Calm, cool, and collected, this teenager is steamrolling his way towards a championship. A beautiful view of the exhibition grounds in downtown Toronto, and welcome to round 8 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada presented by Yokohama. I'm Dave Bradley, along with Daniel Morad. Todd Lewis is in the pits covering all the action for us here this afternoon. And we've had a good solid field ready to roll here in Toronto, much like every other event in 2019. We've had 7 previous races already this season, and Daniel, Deangelis is running away with it.
Yeah, well, with 6 wins, you can really rack up the points. But there's a great battle for second between Thompson, Dussault, and Kingsley.
And we should mention, too, that the 88 of Marco Cerrone is leading in the Masters Championship. And that's an important race to watch within the overall race here today.
And, you know, Marco, he is in the Masters class, but he's also mixing it up with these young guns as well.
He was second quickest in practice earlier this weekend. Let's take a look at this track. And, Daniel, what kind of track is this?
Well, it's an 11-turn, 2.8-kilometer street circuit. Very, very bumpy. We have harsh winters in Canada, so the track definitely feels that. Going into turn 1, you have massive bumps in the braking area. As you make your way onto Lakeshore, that's the best passing opportunity on this track. So you have a long straight into a big braking zone and a hairpin.
Well, this track always makes for an exciting race, no matter what class runs here at this track. But today, for these Porsche GT3 Cup cars on this track, all eyes will be on the driver of the 789, Roman Deangelis, as he sits on the pole here today. Once again, he sat on pole for the first race we had this weekend. The second one, of course, Deangelis ran away with race number 1.
Yeah, race number 1 was a very, very tricky situation. It was a wet track that was drying, mixed strategies, mixed tire decisions, but in the end, Roman did run away. He had a commanding lead. Over 40 seconds, he ended up winning the race by.
You can hear the engines are fired as the drivers make their final preparations, and now the pace car pulls off and the field rolls away. Let's take a look at today's starting lineup. As we mentioned, the youngster Roman Deangelis in the 79 sits on pole. Jeff Kingsley will start alongside him in the 16. Row number 2 has Alan Metney in the 99. Patrick Dussault, driver of the 77, will start in the 4th spot. Keep an eye on him today. Marco Cerrone in the 88. And Parker Thompson struggled a little bit in qualifying here this weekend. We'll have more on him. And row number 4 has Michael DeMeo in the 96. Perry Bortolotti, another Masters class runner in the 84. Ethan Simeone, one of the rookies here in the 40. Michael Fanton drives the 14. That's row number 5. And we look back to row number 6. You've got Martin Harvey in the 08. Sean McKay in the 34. A pair of Masters drivers. And Jean Audet in the 67 will not make the start here today. Unfortunately involved in a pretty heavy crash earlier this weekend. So Daniel, as they go through their pace laps right now, leading up to green, you don't have a lot of time. What are you trying to do? What are your final preparations?
Well, you can see the drivers are zigzagging back and forth. They're trying to generate temperature in the front tires on these Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. With the rear engine configuration of these cars, you can generate rear tire temperature by just lighting up the rears a couple times. But with the front being so light, you really need to get the front tires up to temperature, especially around this tight street circuit.
What about the brakes? Do you need to warm those up as well?
Yeah, you're dragging the brakes at this point. You're dragging the brakes, zigzagging, trying to stretch that tire, trying to stretch the Yokohama rubber as much as you can with the limited running before the green flag drops.
Well, it is a beautiful day here today. Beautiful hot sunshine. That's going to elevate the track temperatures as the field falls into formation. You saw the pace car pull down pit lane. It will be Roman Deangelis and Jeff Kingsley. Kingsley, the only driver here in 2019 on Canadian soil to beat the driver of the number 79 Mark Motors entry. Can he do it here today in downtown Toronto? He's racing in front of a hometown crowd. Look at the field slow up. They will see green as they pass the flag stand. They're bunching up tightly. And finally, we're green here on the streets of Toronto.
Jeff Kingsley, super aggressive in turn one. He wants that position. He's right on the back bumper of Roman.
Possibly a little bit of contact a little bit further back between the Mark Motors 88 of Marco Cerrone and the 77 of Patrick Dussault. Let's ride on board Michael Fanton.
Ooh, Kingsley looks down the inside. You can see he's hungry. He wants to make it happen in these first few laps.
Alan Bentley, too, in the I-Fly number 99, sitting there in third. Here comes Cerrone to the inside. A big dive bomb move in turn 5.
And he made it stick.
That's not normally a very good passing position. It's usually if somebody makes a mistake, he can get by, but Bentley didn't make a mistake.
Yeah, it's very difficult. You have to make that setup happen on the exit of turn 3 on Lakeshore in the hairpin, do the crossover maneuver, and through that kink, it's hard to take it flat out. So if you don't set it up perfectly, you have to lift a little bit, and that's what happened there. Marco was able to slide down the inside and make the pass into turn 5.
Right on board the Porsche Center, North Toronto, number 14 of Michael Fanton.
You see they're zigzagging, they're trying to generate some front tire temps. That tells me that their tire pressures are still low. And with these Cup cars, they have TPMS, so they have a tire pressure monitoring system on board. They can see in real time what their tire pressures are.
Here you see the 77, the Porsche low zone, Porsche rib Sudback entry, the Patrick Dussault now moving alongside the I-Fly 99 of Alan Metney. He is going to get by. He'll clear that position into turn number 3. Michael DeMeo just in behind in the open road, number 96 as well as we ride on board DeMeo. And there you see a change in position for second place as Marco Cerrone. DeMeo caught the wall. If he didn't, he got very, very close that time. Yeah, and there we talk about the bumps. You could see the cars hopping, especially under acceleration.
See, Marco goes too deep.
And Parker Thompson does as well. Thompson off the track, possibly fluid. As the driver of the Porsche Center of Victoria, number 3, Parker Thompson, one of the favorites coming into this race, into the tire wall.
Yeah, very, very awkward. You could see something wasn't right there. It looked like either fluid was down or there was a loss of grip going to the corner.
Just a couple minutes into this 45-minute timed race. We are still green. We should mention that as well. Sean McKay out of Guildford, Ontario, in the FAF Porsche Furpal infrastructure. Number 34 went into the runoff area, so as long as he's out there, they won't necessarily throw a caution.
And there's lots of space. Hopefully he can get that turned around and jump back into the racing action.
But they're well behind this race for the lead now at the front of the pack. That's a big hurt for the driver of the 3, Parker Thompson. I talked to him earlier. He's running double duty here this weekend. He's also running Formula 2000, which is an open-wheel car, big wings, IndyCar style entry, and then he jumps behind the wheel of a full-fender Porsche GT3 Cup car. Those are 2 very, very different cars.
Yeah, and there's contact. Alan Metney into the wall.
And into the back of the 77 goes the 99 of Metney. Big impact for 2 drivers, Patrick Dussault and Alan Metney, both into the tire wall. And that's the exact same location we had an issue before with Parker Thompson and Sean McKay. Now a full course caution will fly here as we near the 40-minute mark.
Yeah, that's very strange. 2 laps in a row, there must have been fluid down. I mean, it's not normal where you see, professional, veteran competitors make those kind of mistakes, especially from Marco Cerrone. For him to go wide in that corner, there must have been some sort of fluid down on the track to cause him to lose grip.
Now, it looked like Metney caught the wall before making the impact with the 77. Let's take another look. There's the impact with the wall. Look at the left front.
Yeah, you can see the left front tire is wobbling. He must have broken the upright on that front corner, therefore causing you to lose your brakes essentially on that one side. And he was just along for the ride at that point. I feel bad for Dussault there.
Oh, yeah, that's a heavy hit. Dussault had nothing to do with that one. He was just making his proper quarter entry. Let's take a look from Marco Cerrone's vantage.
Oh, it's a big hit, but you can see Alan Metney, he took his hands off the wheel, just crossed his arms on his chest. That's the best thing you can do in that situation. If you hold your hand on the wheel, chances are you could break your thumb or your wrist. So you just, when you're along for the ride, you just hold on like a roller coaster.
Well, remember, that's what happened to Sam Fellows at Montreal, one of our earlier stops here in 2019. But this is heartbreak for that driver right there, Patrick Dussault, who's really having a turnaround season in 2019.
Yeah, he's had a great season up to this point. Unfortunately, the same thing happened last year here at Toronto. He was caught out by some fluid, and yeah, I mean, just had an impact with the wall. So it's terrible to see that at this point in the year. He's had a great year, like you said, consistently up in the top 3, and yeah, just really, really strong performance.
Coming off a podium at our last stop at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, we continue under caution. Roman Deangelis, the early leader. Round number 8 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama from Toronto is brought to you by Porsche and by Chopard. So still cleaning up this incident. It's in turn number 8, and there you see Patrick Dussault is out of the car. He'd hoped to be able to refire. It looks like the damage on the back end is just too much.
Yeah, with the engine being in the back of the car, he probably sustained a little bit of damage, especially with the exhaust right on the back and the center. That's exactly where he got hit. So if that's closed up, the car is not going to run.
Yeah, it looks like he'll need a lift on the flatbed, as will the iFly number 99 of Alan Metney. Their days will end early. So Roman Deangelis was out front at the time of this caution period. Jeff Kingsley moves back into second. Marco Cerrone rounds out the top 3. And you can see those drivers trying to maintain that heat.
Yeah, with an extended caution period, it's very easy to lose tire temperature, so they're working very hard. It's actually more difficult to drive in these conditions because A, it's really hot, and between the walls, the heat tends to stay within the walls and the fence. I mean, yeah, you're just going so slow. You need to keep the tire temperature, so you're working harder than ever.
One of those drivers involved in that incident is standing by with Todd.
Yeah, guys, with Alan Metney, and the good news is he's here, he's okay. Just an unfortunate way for this afternoon to end.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. The guys gave me a great car, and we were feeling strong and looking good, and I made a mistake, and unfortunately ended my race and Patrick's as well. So my mistake, and we'll learn and do better next time.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Now you can see the heartbreak all over his face. He was quite quick in qualifying, started towards the front of the field in both races this weekend, including in this one here today. Let's have another look at what went wrong.
Yeah, it looks like he just gets outside the groove. Either that or there was some fluid down. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt just because the lap before a few guys went off there. But once you get out of the rubber groove, especially this point in the weekend with all the support passes, there is a distinctive line, especially through that fast corner.
Yeah, and poor Patrick Dussault in the wrong place at the wrong time. You can see Metney trying to steer his way around the 77. Unfortunately, collecting Dussault, so a couple drivers out of this one. Good look at the McCafe 08 of Marte Harvey, and big job for the workers to get that tire wall back together, but it did exactly what it's supposed to do. These street circuits are tight. They've got concrete walls on both sides, but the tire walls help out. Earlier this week, Roman Deangelis joined a number of other people in taking part in the CN Tower Edge Walk, 356 meters above downtown Toronto. It's just a 5-foot ledge, and Roman did a lot of swearing on this one. We had to cut out the audio. There he goes. Lean back, Roman. A high five, but he looks far from comfortable.
Roman's officially become the tallest structure in Toronto.
Well, he's a tall individual anyway, but far more comfortable behind the wheel of a Porsche GT3 Cup car. I can guarantee you that. So the cleanup just about complete here in turn number 8 for an earlier incident involving Alan Mendy and Patrick Dussault. This caution, though, it does give a reprieve to a couple of drivers who went off early on. Parker Thompson is one of them. So when we go back to green, Thompson will have a lot of cars to pass, but they'll be right in front of him. Join us here on CSN. Welcome back to the streets of Toronto as we get set to restart. Get back to green flag action here in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama. The field lined up behind that beautiful pace car, Daniel.
Yeah, the Porsche GT3 RS is pulled into the pits, and we're going green this time.
And you see Roman Deangelis trying to get a little extra heat in those tires. Before we go green, we will restart single file. We didn't get too many laps in before we went to full course caution. And there you can see Deangelis will get on it a little bit early, and he'll open a bit of a gap here on the front straightaway. Green flag once again, just over 25 minutes remaining in this timed race.
A great restart by Roman. He timed that to perfection. He got on the throttle exactly at the right point where Jeff's behind him couldn't get to throttle.
Thompson moves around Michael Fanton. And that's one of those drivers I was talking about just before we went to break. Parker Thompson was really out of this race after hitting the tire wall. He had way too much distance to make up to try and catch the field. But the field caught him because of a full course caution.
Exactly, and actually what we didn't see during that break is he actually broke his front splitter. So he had the chance to go into the pits, put a new front splitter on. Now he's back on, I guess, on the pack of cars in front of him.
Yeah, level ground for sure. As you take a look at the front of the field, there is Marco Cerrone, who's running inside the top 5, third to be exact, chasing Deangelis and Kingsley. Perry Bortolotti, another Mark Motors entry in the 84, the chrome nose of that GT3 Cup car. Beautiful livery from the Mark Motors entry.
Yeah, they're definitely standing out compared to the rest of the cars. With that chrome front, the sun just reflects off the nose really nicely.
On board the Sports Car Boutique Porsche Center Victoria entry, the number 3, Parker Thompson. He took a look going into turn number 1, but he'll decide to follow the 84 Perry Bortolotti through. But if you watch from the onboard especially, you really get a new appreciation, again, of the roughness of some parts of this track. Some areas have been fixed.
Yeah, it's incredibly bumpy. Back when I raced here in 2016, it's been repaired quite a bit, but Thompson's going to have a hard time here with he locks up and he makes a stick with a little bit of contact, but his tires, they're not going to be too happy with him.
He got the most out of that left front Yokohama tire, that is for sure, as it smokes in disapproval, but picks up the position, and that's the important part. The field still chasing Roman Deangelis, and something new this year from Porsche Canada, Motorsport manager Daniel Ponzini has brought in a factory driver in Kevin Estre to help some of these drivers out, just bounce questions off them, and it's very valuable, isn't it?
Well, it's great to have that mentorship at such a young age for some of these drivers. It really does help. Kevin's gone through the Porsche GT3 Cup system over in Europe. He was a French champion, I believe, and well, he's the reigning world endurance champion in the Porsche 911 RSR. So, I mean, there's no better driver to bounce questions off than him. He's kind of gone through it all from Porsche GT3 Cup all the way up to the top level of motorsport for Porsche anyway at the moment.
He won Le Mans in 2018, so if you're a rookie driver or even if you've been around for a little while, you can always use a little mentorship. Kevin Estre is there courtesy of Porsche Canada. Taking a look at the driver of the 96 as we ride on board with Michael DeMeo. Again, racing in front of a hometown crowd, and he was really looking for a confidence boost here this weekend. Race number 1 went fairly well for him and started up near the front once again here in race number 2. All he wants to do is get out of here cleanly. He's had nothing but bad luck to start 2019.
Yeah, he's had a few tough weekends, especially the last weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He had a little mishap in practice and just kind of put him off throughout the whole rest of the weekend. He didn't seem that confident. You can just tell by his body language. But this weekend, he's done an unbelievable job. He's always at the front, and he's putting a lot of pressure on Marco Troni here for third place.
How about the rookie, too, in the Liqui number 40, Ethan Simeone. What a season he's been having his first year behind the wheel of a Porsche GT3 Cup car. He comes into this race 6th in points.
You know, Ethan's done an unbelievable job. It's very difficult. Your first year in Cup is always a learning year. These are challenging cars to drive. They're very specialized. You can see guys like Roman, they have 3 years under their belt. You know, Zach last year, 3 years. Scott Hargrove, 4 years of driving before he won the championship. So it's very challenging, but he has, you know, a lot of very competitive drivers that he's chasing down here. Also in practice, he had a little mishap, touched the wall. You can see on the right rear corner of the Porsche 911, he has a bit of speed tape, 200-mile-an-hour tape. That didn't help his weekend efforts because he lost a lot of track time in that first practice session.
You seem to know a lot about that driver. Don't be shy. You're helping him out as a driver coach here in 2019, aren't you?
I am. So I'm working with Ethan. I'm personally mentoring him and coaching him, just trying to accelerate his learning curve. But you know, we've all made those mistakes. Back in 2015, my first time here around the street circuit of Toronto, on my 3rd lap in practice, I backed it into the wall in turn 8. And, you know, that moment, it just kind of brought back memories, and I was able to share that with him and kind of bring his spirits up. So, I mean, hopefully that helps him here for the remainder of the race, but yeah, there's a long way to go. It's really, really hot out here, so yeah, let's see where he goes.
I'm curious, though, as a young driver, what does Ethan Simeone generally ask you? What's one of the main questions that he'll come to you with?
Generally with these, the Cup cars, the braking is so tricky. It's very challenging to get that correct, you know, brake application with the correct pressure, the peak pressure, so the amount of maximum force you put in the brake pedal, and then how quickly you actually release your foot off the brake really dictates the balance of the car in the corner. So, you know, every corner on this 11-turn circuit is different. It requires a different brake application. Some corners you have a bumpy braking, you know, entry to the corner, like turn 8, for instance. You can see multiple surface conditions. So you have to be there's no ABS in these cars, so you have to induce your own anti-lock brake system with your foot, so you're modulating on and off. Those are the kind of questions he really bounces off me. In terms of racecraft, strategy, tire management, those are all other little things that he'd be asking me.
Now, you mentioned ABS. The Masters class do have the benefit of ABS. One of those drivers, the 88 of Marco Cerrone, just ahead of the 96 of Michael DeMeo. And anti-lock braking on a street circuit, does it help or hinder?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you hear the drivers all throughout the weekend. They're like, you know, Marco has ABS. It's very difficult to outbrake him, but DeMeo's about to showcase how it's done.
Look at the gap that Marco Cerrone left him because he's trying to cross back over, gain that momentum, and get a run once again. That's a veteran move.
Yep. And one thing we don't know, judging by the 2 liveries, it looks like they're on different teams, but actually Bestline runs the car. It's the race team based in Ontario, so they're actually running both cars, so they're technically teammates. So Marco, veteran move, was being very kind to Mike DeMeo there.
And you can see the gap already opened up by the 96, Michael DeMeo. Marco Cerrone, though, talking about those kids as I was walking around in the paddock earlier this afternoon. He is pretty confident that he can fight with these drivers ahead of him. Despite the fact he's a little bit older, he has been very, very quick this weekend.
Well, you know, I often refer to Marco as the Italian James Bond. You know, this guy's a gentleman, but he's also a killer. So, I mean, you can never count him out. He's racked up multiple podiums this year overall, and I mean, he's definitely a driver you can't write off or, you know, forget about, especially in this race here. He's defending now from Simeone behind.
That's a big defensive move from Marco Cerrone. He knew that was coming early on and made that move, so it's to not essentially block the move by Ethan Simeone. It's a battle for
4th place there.
Yeah,
and, you know, like you said, he anticipated where Ethan wanted to put his car, so technically it's not blocking. If you anticipate, if you move in reaction, it's blocking. If you put your car there before the driver behind makes a move, it's all fair play.
There You see Michael DeMeo just ahead. He is in third. And look at the 3 of Parker Thompson. He is coming and closing the gap on the rest of the field. He's had a lot of cars to pass here today, but he is moving up.
You can see Ethan putting a lot of pressure on Marco. That's going to slow the 2 of them down because Marco's right now driving in his mirrors a little bit. He's trying to defend from the 40 car. They're not teammates, so he is going to try to protect his position as much as he can, and that's going to allow the number 3 of Thompson to close in here.
Good learning moment for the youngster, Ethan Simeone, following somebody like Marco Cironi. You get to see a fast line, and you get to practice trying to stick a pass on a veteran. And here comes Simeone down Lakeshore Boulevard to the inside. He will have position going into turn number 3. Watch Cironi now. He'll back out, leave that gap, and cross back down over. Just in case Simeone went a little bit too deep, Marco Cironi was ready to come back. But it really doesn't take much of a battle, and you can see the gaps close up. A 1 pass, and the 3 car, Parker Thompson, is now not too far behind the 88. Roman Deangelis building up a considerable lead. Jeff Kingsley comfortably in second. We'll be back. Welcome back to round number 8 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama. I'm Dave Bradley in the announce tower alongside Mr. Muradness himself, Daniel Morad, joining me with the call. And the gap at the front, just under 5 seconds now for your race leader, Roman Deangelis, but he's putting on another clinic. Where have we seen this before in 2019?
Well, it's 6 other races so far. I mean, yeah, you can see the last lap, Roman at a 14.0 and Jeff at a 14.5. So, I mean, the gap's going to constantly open up. It looks like at that pace, he's been clicking off laps in the 14s consistently from the time we went back to green.
Well, we've talked about his domination here in Canada, but it's not just in this country he has been so good. He's also been dominant when he races in the U.S. Cup as well, winning 7 of 8 coming into this event. He swept in Watkins Glen, their last event as well. They must be tired of Roman Deangelis in the U.S.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned a little earlier, Roman, it's his 3rd year in the GT3 Cup Series, so he has the experience of all the circuits. He's just putting it all together. And, it takes time. The first year in the series, you're learning how to modulate the brake pressure and how to release the brake pedal into the corner to carry as much speed as possible, because essentially that's the trick in racing. Everybody can push the gas pedal, but it's actually how you press the brake pedal and how you release it. That's what separates the good drivers and the great drivers.
Riding on board, the number 16 of Jeff Kingsley in the Porsche Center Oakville Liqui-Moly entry. We talked about Deangelis running double duty and how well he's doing. This driver right here sits 3rd in points in the U.S. Cup as well. In Canada, he's 4th in points, already has a victory this year as well.
Well, Jeff, unfortunately, has had a couple bad races in Canada, so, otherwise he's the next challenger, I would say, to Roman at this point. Jeff in that Liqui-Moly Polycaro Motorsport car has just done an unbelievable job. It's his 2nd year in the championship. From what he did last year to where he is this year, it's been a massive improvement for him. So he's done a really great job, but, he needs to keep the pressure up. With Roman out in front, I mean, it's easy to lose focus on the street circuit. Like I said, it's a hot day, really, really warm day. I mean, the walls, there's no room for error. So you almost want to just keep it flat out. If you start to take your foot up off the throttle and ease off, that's when you tend to lose focus. So Roman, you can see, I mean, when we were watching him, when he's on the screen, he's absolutely on the limit within inches of the wall.
Another driver on the limit once again, the 88 of Marco Cironi, and he has upped the pressure on the rookie, Ethan Simeone. A battle for 4th position as we ride on board Parker Thompson, who's got a bird-eye view of that battle. Thompson currently in 6th. And we talked a little bit about points. Parker Thompson in a tight battle for second in points coming into this race. Patrick Dussault unfortunately had bad luck, so that'll give him a bit of a breather, but Jeff Kingsley is up there in second on the racetrack, so he's got to go into attack mode here.
Yeah, Thompson definitely has to go into attack mode. He's had a rough weekend, I would say. You know, he's been showing a little bit more.
Oh, and you can hear the lockup from the 40, Ethan Simeone. That was turn number 8. It's caught out a couple drivers already, and look at how they bunched together.
Yeah, there are 3 of them nose to tail right now. He's under a lot of pressure, and that's difficult. You know, when you have limited track time, he's only had you know, under 15 laps of practice coming into this race, and with race 1 here in Toronto being mixed conditions, like I mentioned at the top of the show, Ethan opted to go with, and the team, we all decided to go with rain tires. Unfortunately, the start of the race was delayed by 30 minutes, so that really put him out of it. So he doesn't have a lot of dry tire experience around the circuit.
And obviously, these are city streets. There is no testing here as Marco Cironi takes a look to the inside in turn number 3. We're just under 12 minutes to go in this 45-minute timed race. Here comes Cironi. Oh, he hops the curb, and he will get through. Simeone will have to back out as the leader in the Masters class. The driver of the 88, Marco Cironi, will take away 4th position.
Yeah, once you get wide in turn 5, it's just so dusty. You can see the rooster tails of dust coming off the back of that Porsche 911, that Cup car. So, I mean, yeah, there's no room for error here. He has to drive on the line. It's especially at the end of the weekend, it's a single line that you can drive in the middle of these corners. There's so much buildup. The rubber chunks slide off the tires and they start rolling off, and they create what we call marbles. And the reason why it's a marble is because it's slippery.
Makes sense. Thompson looking to the outside in turn number 1 as he's closed right up on the back bumper of the Liqui Moly number 40. Riding on board Thompson as he chases the driver from Burlington, Ontario, Ethan Simeone, in his first season here on the Porsche GT3 Cup.
You see, he's locked up the rear.
Yeah, the back end just stepped out under braking. Simeone in turn 3, and this will cost him big-time track position. Have a look from Thompson's angle.
Yeah, you can see he just broke a little late. With these Cup cars, you know, you have so much rear bias in them because you have all the weight in the rear, and just broke a little too late. And on the downshifts, you can see he was locking the rear tires. That's just really, really unfortunate.
But looking back on the weekend, he'll be able to build on the positives. I mean, he was up in the fray this weekend, so he has a lot to be proud of. Another driver in the fight here today is the driver of the Porsche Center North Toronto, the 14 of Michael Fanton. Made a little contact with the wall in race number 1 yesterday. He's currently sitting in 8th place, a clean car here today, and doing a lot of learning as the young driver.
Yeah, Mike may have touched the wall, but he brought home 7th place, and that's really, really good for him. You know, it's his 2nd time here visiting the Toronto street circuit. Last year, he had a little bit of a more difficult, I guess, experience, but this year, so far, he's done an amazing job.
Picked up the Yokohama Spirit of Speed Award in 2018 as well, did Michael Fanton. And Daniel, you talked about the rubber buildup here on the track. We have so many different classes running here this weekend. Not only the Porsche GT3 Cup, you've got NASCAR, you've got IndyCar, you've got the Super Trucks, and you've got the other Formula cars that are here this weekend, and they're all different rubbers as well. How does that affect these cars?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because you have other tire manufacturers that are laying rubber down, and you know, the Yokohama rubber likes Yokohama rubber. The more you can put down, the more, I guess, it sticks to it. When you have multiple different types of rubber, it starts to get very greasy, you know, and like I said, there's marbles. There's a lot of marbling from the other tire manufacturers that are being thrown off, discarded onto the track. So once you get offline, you can kind of see that dark rubber line. When you get on top of that rubber line, you're kind of in dangerous territory. You can see all the rubber buildup along the outside edge of the track there.
And it looks like junk, essentially, and as you mentioned, marbles when you get on it and it starts to roll. This is a battle for 9th spot. Sean McKagan, the FAF 34, and the Porsche Center Oakville Liqui Moly number 40 of Ethan Simeone. I mean, he is working it. He's got his elbows out. He's ready to go to work again.
Yeah, you can tell he's fired up. He'll be disappointed with that. He was in a really strong position, but you know, he has a never give up attitude. This kid, he's he has an unbelievable job of learning and applying what's being said. So, I mean, this guy's a future champion, no doubt. You can see he shows moments of brilliance, and he's putting down some fast laps, but I think it's just about putting it all together. And you can see already he's opened up a huge gap, so he's kind of lit up right now.
It's an opportunity for practice for the young drivers. Roman Deangelis continues to dominate here in Toronto. Welcome back to downtown Toronto as we take a look at a battle for fourth position between the 88 of Marco Cironi and the 3 of Parker Thompson. Cironi leading in the Masters class, but having a top 5 run amongst the Platinum cars. As the rest of the field has opened up a bit of a gap on these two drivers. Roman Deangelis has led every single lap so far. He's built up almost a 9.5-second lead. Michael DeMeo is 12 seconds back of Roman Deangelis, but this is a spirited battle for fourth.
You can see Roman just put in the best lap of the race at a 13.6, so you know he's putting the hammer down.
Keep in mind his qualifying was a 1:12.966, a very quick time, the only driver to eclipse the minute 13 mark. Window of the 3 of Parker Thompson as he chases the 88 of Marco Cironi. That's a battle for fourth spot as we remind you, Cironi the leader in the Masters class. Second in that class is the 84 of Perry Bortolotti. And Martin Harvey, who sits 8th overall in the 08, is currently 3rd in Masters.
And this battle right here for fourth place overall is heating up. It's looking like it's hotter than wasabi out there.
It is a hot one today, and I mean the windows are rolled up in these GT3 Cup cars, so you're right, it does get quite toasty in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean you can see both drivers on the absolute limit. They're both pushing hard, and Marco, although he's leading in the Masters class, he wants to finish as high up as he can overall.
Parker Thompson trying to salvage a good day. He's already salvaged pretty much a good day inside the top 5. After coming into contact with the tire wall in turn number 8 at the beginning of this race. You watch him again through turn 11, now onto the front straight. The passing opportunity lays ahead into turn number 1.
You can see, though, how bumpy it was through 11. That whole section has been redone a few years ago. It's one of the most challenging sections of racetrack I've ever encountered in my career so far. I mean, to be honest, I really don't like going through there. It's just so bumpy, but you know there is a certain element of skill that you need and ability to get through there properly. It's not so conventional. Well, look at that. Thompson locks up the rears a little bit, but he manages to keep it on the track.
Yeah, he had to do some steering there as you saw the hands get busy for the driver of the Porsche Center Victoria. Number 3 of Parker Thompson. Still, this the best battle on the track right now that we're watching. It's the battle for fourth overall, as you mentioned. Marco Cironi just ahead of Parker Thompson. Thompson in his first season of racing the GT3 Cup car here in Canada. Marco Cironi, we've seen for a few years around here.
Just a few years, but it's great to have him around. He's a great guy,
yeah.
A gentleman of the series, great sportsman, and a great competitor as well.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys in the paddock. Roman Deangelis continues out front. We'll take a quick break and take you to the checkers after this. Welcome back to the streets of Toronto. Still, the 79 of Roman Deangelis well out in front here in race number 8. 3 laps approximately left for the driver of the 79 Mark Motors entry, Roman Deangelis. He started on pole, and he has been absolutely flawless once again here today. Nearly 12 seconds up on second place, Jeff Kingsley.
Yeah, Roman's just in a league of his own at this point. He's just in such a great rhythm. And you can see he's not lifting off whatsoever. He's getting right out to the edge of the wall here because he comes towards the exit of turn 1 on the lakeshore now. I mean, he has the throttle absolutely pinned through the floorboard.
You talked about him being in full attack mode through the entire 45-minute timed race. He's got about 2 laps to go now in the 79, and he continues to work that pace. You see his head tilt into the turn, finds his apex, and away he goes.
You can see his head is moving, and you know, generally in racing, where you look is where you go. So that's why the #1 tip I could ever give to anybody is just look where you want to go. If you're staring at your hood, although it may be beautiful, it may be a Porsche 911 hood. I mean, if you look at it,
as the 79 is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'll be blinded first of all if you look at this hood. But you know, you're going to look where you're going to go where you're looking. So you always want to look far into the distance. That goes for when you're on the highway. You look into the distance.
Roman Deangelis onto the main straightaway, and there you see it, the white flag being shown for your race leader. You can't even see Jeff Kingsley in the background yet in the Polycaro Motorsport number 16. He's running a solid second. Michael DeMeo sitting in third in the 96. But Roman Deangelis all by himself down Lakeshore Boulevard for the final time.
That's spot on with his braking. I mean, he's just out for a Sunday drive here on Lakeshore.
A rather brisk Sunday drive. Not often you get to see Lakeshore Boulevard in downtown Toronto that empty, as Jeff Kingsley now makes his way down towards turn number 3 for the final time. Michael DeMeo has closed that gap just a little bit, though.
Yeah, I mean, Mike has been putting in some good laps there. You know, we haven't really seen him throughout this race, but he's done an amazing job. He's in podium contention, holding down 3rd place at the moment.
In a race he wanted to build confidence. There's a lot of positives he can take away from this round number 8 here on the streets of Toronto, but just 1 turn left for the driver of the number 79 Mark Motors entry, and Roman Deangelis will win his 7th of 8 races here in 2019. What a run for the youngster from Bell River, Ontario, as he starts his cool-down lap, and we wait for the 16 of Jeff Kingsley to come through turn number 11 here onto the front straightaway. There's Kingsley wrapping up 2nd spot. Michael DeMeo in the open road 96 will round out the top 3. And how about the driver of the 88, Marco Cerrone, tops in the Masters class. Perry Bortolotti 2nd in Masters as he sees the checkered flag. And on board Michael Fanton coming home 7th. Great run for the driver for the Porsche Center North Toronto team.
Yeah, great finish for Mike. Unbelievable job this weekend. 2 7th place finishes. I mean, he's come such a long way from his first year in Cup last year, first year ever racing, to finishing 2 7th place finishes in Toronto. It's unbelievable.
Roman Deangelis, the rabbit that the Greyhounds were chasing here today, and today it was the rabbit who won. The visor is up. It's cool-down time for the teenager, but wow, what a dominating effort here at Exhibition Place in downtown Toronto. Roman Deangelis, your winner. When we return, we'll talk to him in Victory Lane. A great view from high above Exhibition Place here in Toronto as the 79 of Roman Deangelis has made his way to Victory Lane. A sweep at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Yet again, he's done it here in Toronto.
Welcome back to Toronto. Roman Deangelis with the fist pump in the air, climbing out for another victory, another weekend sweep, and another big smile and celebration with the Mark Motors racing team. The ice bags that he had tucked inside that fire suit have mostly melted away. Roman, another victory. The result is the same, but it seems like there's a bit of a different challenge to each one of these wins.
Yeah, I think this weekend's been a bit different just with the street tracks. It's a lot better of a feeling, I think, winning here than it is anywhere else because there's really no testing, so it's kind of an even playing ground for everyone. So kind of everything anyone says is excluded here because it's an open race. But yeah, I think nothing can really beat yesterday's performance, just the way it all panned out. But today was another awesome day. We had a good gap again and just clean, consistent laps. So just trying to pick away at these points like always and just happy about the weekend. So.
The streak continues. Roman Deangelis a winner in Toronto.
And Deangelis will continue to stretch his lead atop the point standings. We'll take a look at that later, but the top 10 results, you see Parker Thompson at top 5, Perry Bortolotti coming home in 6th.
Ethan Simeone had a great run back up to 8th with Martin Harvey and Sean McKegg just behind.
Let's go down and talk to your second place finisher.
Jeff Kingsley gets a little drink of water. Another second place result, another solid finish for you.
Yeah, no, it's another second place, but obviously Roman got the jump once again. He's kind of making a trend for himself, but we beat the rest of them, which is obviously a good thing. Seems like we got a good point state today as well. So solid weekend, stay consistent, right? Two second place finishes, so obviously happy with that. I actually came into the weekend not really liking this place, and my engineers and my team did a great job of providing me with a great car. So now I'm a fan of this place, right? So. But happy to be here. The Porsche Center Oakville, Polycar Motorsports, Lippy Molly guys did a great job, and I can't wait to come back. So, thank you.
And you see the smile on the face of Jeff Kingsley, and you'll see why as we'll take a look at the point standings. And again, Deangelis has extended his lead, but Kingsley has moved ahead of Patrick Dussault into 3rd spot.
Yeah, that's going to be key in the championship race, and only 2 points behind Parker Thompson.
Marco Cerrone, the Masters winner once again. You drove a strong race today. Had some challenges, though.
Well, I think yesterday it's safe to say that I drove a little timid. So this morning I woke up and I said, I'm not embarrassing myself anymore. So I went out there and I charged as hard as I could. I made a couple of mistakes, but I kept the car clean, and we finished 4th, and I'm really, really happy. Special thanks to the team that did such a wonderful job, the coaching, and of course Mark Motors, Lisa, and Michael Marak, the whole family. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. So thank you very much to them, to IMSA, and you guys. Love being on TSN.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we love the show that Marco Cerrone puts on here on TSN. Once every year, the races come to the people in downtown Toronto, and this year those racers didn't disappoint. The Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Canada by Yokohama hit the streets hard at Exhibition Place. And right from the drop of the initial green, it was all the 79 of Roman Deangelis.
Another 2 people that hit the streets hard. Unfortunately, it's the tire barrier is Dussault and Alan Metney.
Heavy contact for both those drivers ended their days early. When we went back to green, Ethan Simeone turned in a spirited run, making passes on a couple veterans.
And the veteran made a pass back on him.
And then the rookie made a mistake, and that cost him all of his track position. In the end, though, Deangelis was too much, cruising to his 7th win of 2019. There's the Masters podium as Marco Cerrone picks up the hardware. Today's race has been brought to you by Porsche and by Chopard. We're getting used to seeing this. Roman Deangelis on the top step of the podium. We have a couple more events, a combined event at Road America, and then on to Mont Tremblant for all of us here at TSN. We'll see you there.